All right, everybody. My name is McGill. I am the co-founder of Rise, and I'm really excited to continue these chats about how AI is changing agencies. Today, I am chatting with Chris DuBois. Chris has been like one of the major supporters of Rise and a good friend since we've really moved into the agency space. And he's an expert on things that are changing. I know that you are also sort of at the front lines of testing a lot of this stuff yourself. So, Chris, thank you for joining. Do you want to give a little intro and give a little more background?
Uh, sure. I am Chris DuBois, and I work on the demand side of agency life, and so I'm just helping agencies with getting more business in the door, and that's we are seeing huge shifts because of AI. So yeah, this is I'm excited to chat.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So I guess, you know, this is a big question to start off with, but I'm really curious to hear what you say. So I know you help agencies a lot with distribution, right? How is that? What are the main number one, two, or however deep you want to go, ways that AI is changing distribution for agencies right now?
You can do it at scale, essentially. So, like a lot of the barriers for distribution before was just how much content can we actually create to get out the door. Now, like you can create impossible amounts of content and kick it out
Yeah.
there. The huge differentiator though is like who's just using AI to create the content and then ship it versus who's using the AI to further develop their insights and all of these different ideas that they have to create better content to then ship. So
Yeah.
creating like having your resource of I'm using Claude Code. It's like probably the best tool for doing this right now. But you set up a
Yep.
project. I call mine the chief of stuff because my friend was like, "You need a chief of staff." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not managing people." And so this is my funny way of doing it. But with this, it's like it has complete context over everything I'm doing. And so even for every one of my clients has their own context folder. And with those, it's tracking every meeting we have, every transcript, every like Slack conversation. I have a workbook. They're going through that. So like any agency could replicate the same thing to just like
Yeah.
collect all of the data, everything that's happening, conversations. But then you get to go back through, like sales conversations are great for this too. But you get to
Yeah.
go back through and say, hey, what topics have come up the most in the past month throughout all my conversations? And it'll surface all of these different things. And then you look at it and say, okay, well, what was I saying? Should I have a stronger opinion here? You
Yeah.
really work on that, craft it to what you want, and now that becomes content. But you're also better live because you've actually thought through these questions and you can address them. And so yeah, you're able to distribute, I think, better. Like the actual act, I guess the tactical, like just sending it out is generally easier, but it's also like the quality of content that you could put out at high volume is now easier to do as well.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. I mean, and I guess that's a question that I have for you around, because I think we're running into this. It's not only in content, but like with AI code generation, for example. Like, how do you balance quality and quantity here? Like specifically, like how are you recommending your community to do that?
Yeah, that is I think the big question for AI, right? Avoiding slop, and everybody keeps talking about you just need taste. It's like, but how do you develop taste? It's
Yeah.
like you got to be good at what you do. But
Yeah.
I think for most agencies, the trick is automate the tasks that don't require critical thinking, right? The stuff that's just like you have to do it, it's going to eat up your time, but like there's very few variables. You let it automate that piece of the project, whether code, copy, whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, so that you now have more time to focus on the stuff that makes you uniquely like gifted at doing whatever it is. One of the exercises I have most of my clients do is you put a large post-it note or piece of paper on their desk, and just anytime you would use the word every, so like every time we kick off a client, every time I have a sales call, right? Anytime you would use that, that means you're doing it multiple times, and so
Yes.
if it's repetitive, we can automate it. So once you have that list, you then go through and say, okay, from this list, which one requires the fewest number of variables for me to actually deliver on? And then you start there. And like it's the easiest thing. You're finding the lowest lift tasks, automate, and then progress.
I love that. I really love that because I think that's actually one of the challenges that I've seen with agencies that we've spoken to, but also internally. It's like we want to implement AI more. We know there's that feeling like I know there's tasks that AI can do, but it's
Right.
like okay, but then where do we start, right? How do I do this? And like I think yeah, it's been first almost coming up with the concept of what we want to do it, and then going around like that's almost harder than figuring out how. Once you have the concept, it's yeah. Actually, it's funny, you know, just to not to plug Rise a bit, but I've been actually doing this with we've been doing this as a team with Rise time entries. We export them to CSV, drop them into Claude, and then
Yeah.
we basically are like,
So
hey, where can we use AI more here?
man, so
Yeah,
I'm doing that like as a Rise
yeah,
user. I have it. I'm using the API though, pushing it
yeah.
directly into my Claude Code project for my chief of stuff. And so when I finish my work week, I run like a weekly review, and it goes through everything that I like. It goes. I have motion for my tasks. So it goes in there, looks at all the tasks I accomplished, all the conversations, meetings, everything, and then it pulls all my time data to make sure everything syncs up. And it gives me a review. It gives me a grade for the week on how I was spending my time to make sure that it lines up with my priorities and everything. And then when I kick off the next week, I have a weekly planning project that or a skill that it runs, and it sets up the okay, here are your projects, everything you need to be working on this week, and then
Oh,
I start focusing for the timing.
I love
It's
that.
great.
Oh man, that makes me so happy. We,
Uh,
by the way,
so,
we're launching an MCP
yeah,
like
I'm
in
excited
a
for that.
week.
Uh, no, I think it was one of your update emails like came out, and I saw you had an API. I'm like, why am I not doing this? And so I was like, immediately.
Yeah.
But the best part of AI, it's like I don't know how to code and stuff. Like I just
Yes.
said, hey, Rise has an API. Here's my secret key, right? Help me install this, and then just
Oh
does the
man,
rest.
I love that. I guess yeah. I mean, that kind of is a great question. I think I'd love to hear your you know input on as well. Is like what how do you see AI with the agencies you work with changing the structure? Because like now it's just that like maybe you needed someone to, there's a lot of tasks that you needed to be a little bit technical, you should don't be, or, you know, how do you see it changing the structure of agencies? Um,
Yeah, I think a lot more agencies are going to become. I think the new term is micro agencies.
yeah,
They're just going to get as lean as possible, find contractors for the things that they can't do themselves, and then they're going to run it that way. I think one of the things that I'm trying to do with my clients or trying to stress with my clients is like you don't want to AI is has a multiplying effect, right? It's a force multiplier. Everybody can agree on that. Like one person can do way more. But so let's
yep,
assume it's a 5x multiplier, right? I can take my team of 5 developers and equip them with this, or and now it's 25x, right? Really it's probably more because they talk to each other and they in like the speed of learning goes up because they're
yeah,
sharing ideas and stuff. So really we might get like 30x. But what most
yeah,
agencies are doing is saying, okay, well, I to get the work of 5, I only need 1 developer. So they cut
yeah,
4 of their developers. And now, yeah, you're saving some money, but you're still only getting that 5x output. And
yes,
so
I
it's like,
see,
why would you not just crank it up and find
yep,
other things you could do, like get more efficient in so many ways? And like,
yeah,
yeah, so I think a lot of agencies are still looking at like, how do I cut? How do I cut? But now they're going to find themselves in a position where those ones who didn't cut and actually just maintain their
yep,
team are going to be
yeah.
beating everyone else out, and they're going to yeah go out of business because of it.
That's so interesting. I mean, I guess that kind of comes back to adoption. How to order for that to succeed, you need to have AI adoption to achieve that multiplier. So, I mean, I love the sort of example that you gave of the every, but do you have any other tips for agency owners on how to, you know, really build the adoption and make sure that they're getting that multiplier?
Yeah, I think you have to allocate some time every week for just AI exploration that every team
Yeah,
member can just kind of go off and do their thing.
yeah,
It is really interesting when every team member does that every exercise. And then, because like as a founder of the business, right, or even like the COO, they can't see every little task
yes,
that the team's doing. And so when they're all writing this every down, builds out really fast. I think the other way is like getting a team like account for like a Claude Code type instance where like
Yeah.
everyone has access to the same data set and everything, so we can all keep feeding it this information. Now it's getting better from so many different levels,
Yeah.
right? Like rather than building in a silo, it's like we can all contribute to this one project.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because I feel like I was just talking to a friend about this. It's like I feel like I'm reinventing the way I work like every week. And I'm like, I just need to actually stick with this one pattern for a bit because like I need to get some work done instead of like, it's like, because there's such stuff's coming out. It's so quickly. It's like, oh my God, like everything changes again. But
So
it's actually exciting.
This is actually a great instance of, because I'm using Rise, I had asked my chief of staff one week, like, hey, what should I be doing in order to fix this? Like, I'm a firm believer in like the constraint model, right? So like, let's find the constraint, solve for that. And so I was going through a constraint exercise, and it's like, hey, but looking at your time tracking, you spent a lot of hours working just coding, like, and working in Claude Code last week. Maybe you should just focus on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Called out. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. That I feel like that reminds me as well. I'm sure I'm the same, like sometimes, but it's one of those things where sometimes you focus so long on automating a task and you achieve it, but you're like, okay, it took me so long to automate that task that even if I was to manually do that task for like 5 years, it wouldn't add up to how long but no, I think it's kind of, I think here it's worth the input, but it's about finding that balance of it. In terms of implementing AI into the agency, into the workflow, what is an area do you think that maybe that I would say we'll go with two. First, that agencies are underestimating the impact that this can have, and what's area where they're overestimating the impact?
That's a good question. They're probably overestimating on the marketing front. Going back to distribution, right? They're just thinking it's going to solve all their problems, when in reality, like there's so much junk. Like, because you can publish at volume and stuff, like it's nobody's actually creating something worth standing out. And so spending a little more time there, you can have like a pretty high leverage output. Underestimating, I don't know. It's probably on their own like processes. I've talked to a lot of agencies who are very worried about AI and their clients using it, and then but it's like, but they're not using it. And so it's like, why do you think your clients are like, unless you're working, unless your clients are tech and SaaS companies, right? Who like they're going to be at the cutting edge of trying to stay there. It's like your clients probably aren't using it any more than you are, and so like you probably don't need to stress that much.
It's funny. I feel like there's a collective anxiety with AI because things shipping so fast, and you want to be at the forefront. And I feel it with Rise. Like, are we moving fast enough? Are we shipping the right features? We need to be agent first. I mean, I think if you're like on Twitter or LinkedIn, like you forget that we're so early, and there's people that are just finding out about ChatGPT now, right. And like,
my father, who was chief of police up in our hometown, decided to retire, and he opened a restaurant, which I don't know that I ever recommend someone do, but he was looking for, like, he's trying to market his restaurant and stuff in this town. And so I showed him ChatGPT, and I walked him through like how he could use it for like taking stock of his inventory and finding specials that he could make to like make sure no ingredients go like wasted and all these different things, but just on the marketing. So he does this it's a small town. He does it purely on Facebook, and no one in this town understands like he's using AI to create all of this content, because no one in the town knows what it is. He'll take pictures of specials, right? But there was one night he did like a surf and turf. So there's lobster and steak. He's like, I'm not plating that meal just for a picture. Like, it's a waste of money. So he had AI make a picture, and all of the comments are like, this is amazing. It looks amazing. I'll be in tonight. And so it's just like, they think it's witchcraft or something. Like, they just don't understand it. I think, we are definitely collectively, like, the people on LinkedIn and stuff are at the forefront of this already. And so
most definitely. getting back to distribution, actually, I had a question about that. So, we work with Garrett, and one of the key things that I think is really important in distribution, and in every company is focus. And I know in distribution, traditionally, it's also been about niching, and I've seen like your content touches on that a lot. You, you, if your distribution is so general, it's not gonna catch any fish, right? But if it's very specific, it should be really good at catching a specific type of fish. And so, you know, do you think that still holds true in this AI world, and why?
Yeah, even more so now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's Nicholas Petrosky, just so he runs Promethean research. One of them, sorry, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a bunch of research studies on agencies and stuff. And they last year, generalist agencies were not growing, like shrinking, if
Yes.
anything. And so you need to niche down. Niching is one of those things that like it helps you both on the supply and demand side, right? Because we can target
Yeah.
better through demand for the distribution for everything. But also the fact that we get so many reps with this one type of client means we get really good at seeing this stuff, which also means we can then automate, right? Because we're working with the same client doing the same
Yes.
problem stuff.
Yes.
Like, so we can start using AI more in this. And so finding a niche and leaning into that is super important. Um, the, yeah, I mean, that's,
That
you
makes
have to.
sense. Yeah. Yep. And in terms of distribution in the AI world, like what are some strategies specifically that either your clients are doing or that you're recommending to clients that are new, that are different? I mean, obviously thinking about like AEO or LEO, we're thinking a lot about that. How do you get chat to recommend you, or Claude? Is there anything else like kind of you could speak to?
So yeah, so I got two things. One, I ran a test last year to try getting recommended by the LLMs, and so I used my blog for about 4 months. I wrote 3 blogs a week, just going all like optimized for AI, trying to do all the things, and I started getting lead. Like now, I get people booking calls from ChatGPT. So like I know that's possible to work that side. And I think now is the time to do more of that because once everybody's caught up, like that's it. With it, I've really like I kind of had this thought. I can't remember who I was talking to, but if you're writing very general content and stuff, like AI probably doesn't need to cite you, right? If you're just talking
Yeah.
about best practices in your stuff, like it could
Yeah.
claim it got that content from anywhere. But if you talk, so it's the shift from like how to content to how we content, and
Yeah.
highlighting like inserting case studies in everything you're doing, highlighting like insights that you have learned so that AI has a reason to want to cite you and send people there. Super
Yeah.
important. But my probably my biggest tip for marketing in this AI world is actually to just lean more on the human aspect of everything. Go build relationships with people, talk to people, find partnerships, just be helpful. Like I have a very
Yeah.
strong um, mentality around like building partnerships. Like I do not believe in zero sum games. Uh,
Yeah.
like I only want to do things where we can all win. And so you start building these relationships with people, they introduce you to others, and like it snowballs. And then it doesn't matter what AI is. Well, AI will then, because everyone's talking about you and sharing everything, AI has to pick it up as a reference, a resource. And so, yeah, I would actually lean into the just do the things that aren't necessarily uh, scalable with AI. It's like I have to be there in
Yeah.
person doing this stuff.
That's awesome. And man, I think I can speak to the truth of that. You have been like such a great resource for us and so helpful. And yeah, it means a lot. And so, yeah, thank you for that. Really, really do feel that. Yeah, in a way, it's kind of cool because I think you, the human stuff is in a lot of ways the most fun. Like you get to connect with other people, right? And now there's even more time for it. So, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love writing. Like I got a degree in English, right? Like I enjoy writing, but
Yeah.
jumping on a call like this, it's just way more fun for me than to be able to
Yeah,
like market and do everything. That yeah.
totally. Okay, so maybe some, you know, I did this with Tesla, like maybe some hot takes, fill in the blanks for you for
Oh,
clips. All right,
okay.
so fill in the blank here. All right, AI is going to kill blank inside agencies.
Uh, um, I don't know. It's
That's all right.
yeah,
No
I want to
stress.
say waste.
Yes.
Hoping, but that's a very
Yeah.
optimistic outlook. So
Yeah.
I'll stick with that for now, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. The biggest mistake agencies are making with AI is blank.
Uh, um, they're using it as a, like they're outsourcing their main thing to it. So like they're having it
Yeah.
replace them rather than having them empower them.
Yeah. Can you speak a little a little bit more to that? Like any specifics or details
Yeah.
about how to approach that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first thing everybody does. Like the SEO agency is going to say, okay, well, how do we have it write our content? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're the one who writes it. Like people are hiring you because you write better
Yes.
content than your competitors.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do a website faster? And it's like, and it's always the development and the design, not the how do I get the content briefs done? How do I get right like the research done? How like
Yeah.
if you find all of those other pieces to enable you to do more, it's just yeah, everything gets a little better, and you actually get to still run the business that you want to run the way you want to run it with like your strategic expertise being at the forefront.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Okay. In 2 years, agency models, agencies that don't do this will struggle.
I mean, adopt AI
So,
is the standard, but I think have the agencies that don't have the plan for how AI is integrated and can explain that to the prospect.
yeah.
One of the things that comes up on a lot of sales calls right now for my clients is like, well, couldn't I just use AI to do this? And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but it's like, and they'll say things like, can you just make this faster with AI? Can we make this cheaper because of AI?
Yeah.
And they're taking that like the iron triangle, right? The you can have speed, quality, or price. You can only choose two because it's a
Yep.
constraint model. So it's like we got to choose where we want it. But they all think that that goes away with AI, when in reality, it's just like no, the triangle just like got smaller, and so like we still have
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
constraints we have to deal with. You're choosing me because I'm going to use AI in the best way for your business, not because AI is going to make this so much easier for you.
That makes sense. That's a really interesting way to think about it. I think I really like that. I feel that. All right. Yeah, I guess really no more big. Okay, I just have one more quick
Yeah,
question
do
because
it.
it kind of relates to Rise. Um, uh, do you think that the billing and margin model of agency is changing? If so, where do you think it's moving? I know it might be a little more operations side than,
Yeah.
but just for yourself even.
Well, I'm hoping that people are moving away from just the billable hour model
Hmm.
into more project based and everything. I
Yep.
do think so. Like from a billable hour, you can run a successful agency that's super profitable that way, right? It's just as long as the math works, you're good.
Yep.
But we you're not incentivized to move faster if you're getting paid to work more, right? And so now you have
Yeah.
no incentive as well to use AI because and like to actually get better and faster at doing
Yeah.
these things, because that you won't
Yeah.
get paid
It's
more,
less
right?
time. Yeah.
And so doing like project based pricing, um, right? Just like setting flat rates for like what we're going to deliver and then getting really good at delivering that. So you still have your billable hours, like things that are going towards what the client's actually paying for. Um, but then I think it's also going to free us up to not have to pay teams hourly, but to go more towards
Yeah.
salaries for everybody. And so now it's like now
Yeah.
they're incentivized to want to figure out the AI stuff so they can get the same quality output done faster, and then they can go home, hang out with their families, do whatever it is they do, and you're getting paid the same. They're getting paid the same. Like everybody wins.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. Amazing, man. Well, yeah, that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining today. This was such a fun conversation.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's always so good to connect and chat with you. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.